David's background includes 11 years as a successful grant writer, totaling over $10 million in wins. He's the lead instructor for the Advanced Grant Writing course and author of Golden Grant Rules, the ultimate guide for winning government grants, and he does have a few books at his table back there. David founded Alberta Business Grants in 2015. Prior to Alberta Business Grants, David worked for 4 years at the Legislative Assembly of Alberta as a finance research analyst and executive assistant. He has taught political science students at the University of British Columbia, Wilfrid Laurier University, MacEwan University, and the University of New Brunswick. David holds a master's degree in Canadian politics, specializing in media and public opinion. Please welcome David.
Thanks, Leanne, I appreciate that. I'm going to take you on a journey, and I know this will be recorded, so for you small business owners out there watching this, we're going to get into helping you find grants, but there's a lot of ecosystem partners out here as well right now, and I would encourage you to just sort of adopt this framework because it helps entrepreneurs understand grants. They can be very overwhelming and confusing for them. I think it's our job to demystify government grants. Well, it's certainly my job, but hopefully I can give you some tools to help you serve your constituents, serve your members, and help us compete globally, right, and win. So my organization's purpose is to build trust between businesses and government. We need to work together. We're competing globally. The world's a hot mess right now in a lot of ways. So if we can get our businesses, that's why I love what Sturgeon's doing and the Chamber's doing. Like if we can get our best people, look at here in Sturgeon, Pegasus, the drone company, working with our government and military, working together, we can I'm not running for office here, but you know what I'm saying? You can really succeed. So that's what I do. That's what gets me up in the morning. And I know it does for a lot of you too. So after this talk, you're gonna know how to do three things. You're gonna know how to find grants. You're gonna know how to meet grant agencies. A lot of entrepreneurs don't even know that they can meet grant agencies. They're like, I can talk to these people? Yes. Grants, I always say, is one human being giving money to another human being. That's what it is. And then I'm gonna give you some tips on starting winning grants. So here's the journey I'm gonna take you on. We've done our Grant 101s. Then we're gonna go to finding grants, meeting agencies, writing applications, and then we'll take a couple questions and send you on your way. Now, Grants 101. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time, and it's from Zig Ziglar. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. And remember, grants are government money. They get elected, they use an election platform, and they have goals. So what your job is as a business owner is to understand what the government wants, look at your project, and make sure it aligns. So oftentimes entrepreneurs come to me, I want money. I'm like, it's not about you. It's their money. They won, and they've got programs. Now it's your job to help them meet their key performance indicators and be a trusted advisor. Be the expert in your space. And I always say, if you're the expert in your space and you're doing something cool, government will swim through shark-infested waters to get money to you. They really will. So it's a different mindset. Don't go through, I want money. Get out of here. You don't want that attitude. You want to be the expert. You want to be the leader. Government come to you for answers. So let's go through Government 101. Oddly enough, in grants are kind of, I don't want to say a dirty word, but let's just get to it. We're trying to save time here. Look at this bottom bullet. Grants in government are called support, fund, initiative, program, plan, service, stream, solution, partnership. Now you're out drilling a well and you're trying to get a grant, and the program has this name that's not a grant in it because you're getting into this sort of what I call government ease. Like there's English, there's Chinese, there's government ease. Tough crowd, I know. But it's true. There's a different language. There's a vernacular. And we have to translate it for them. So the first thing is it's free money. You don't have to pay it back. Yes, there's some interest-free loans. Most of it's reimbursed. You don't have to pay it back. And it's confusing. Now, this looks like it was from a long time ago. This was the last federal election. Can you believe that? Now, grants start in election platforms. So this is the Liberal platform in the last election next to the Conservative. And you'll see there, like, look at the bullets. So this is the Liberals, increase wage subsidy to $7.50. And look at the first one, pay 25% to 50% of salaries. If you think about politics, it's like, you know, all you see on the news is that these two people they're always fighting, but grants are this weird thing, right? Grants are like multiple parties. I have really funny stories on this, by the way. Like, I have slides, I don't put it up, but I've got each political party with giving out a check, but that's more embellishing and stuff. I don't like to do that anymore, getting older. Now, think about this from the small business owner, because I'm speaking to you right now, entrepreneur. These elected officials who were in the crowd tonight went out door to door, knocking on doors, and someone said, I need childcare. So they get elected, then they go to bureaucrats to run the program, and then the bureaucrats, now, if I had more time, there's delivery agents, it's just not government that give it out, and then they have the grant programs that you can apply to. But it's good for a small business owner to know who you're dealing with oftentimes. It's a bureaucrat, and they want to be responsible for the public purse, they want to make sure they're getting good due diligence, stuff like that. So be credible, be trustworthy, and know your audience, most importantly. Now, as we continue on Grants 101, there's 3 levels of government. Now, I know in this crowd here, stay with me for a minute, but for the one entrepreneur in the room who didn't take Politics 101, we've got our municipal government, we've got our provincial government, we've got our federal government, they all have grants. And it gets even more confusing, like Alberta has AEEP, Alberta Export Expansion Program, which is a provincial grant for exporting for the manufacturers out there. And then the feds have CanExport, which is a federal grant. So sometimes it can be confusing, and it's like, which one's easier, right? Like, which one's easier to get? The provincial one's shorter. I would start with that one for most of you. And then here we've got local grants. This is St. Albert's grant program, the beautification program. It's a grant, $2,500. If you've got a restaurant, you want to improve the frontage of the building, and Morinville has one too here. I'll talk in a minute. The training grant, this is really fun. At the back, we've got Shauna, who's already here. She's with the employment standards. They have the Canada-Alberta Job Grant. So think about it. You've got the grant agency right here at the back of this room talking about their program, helping you get it. I mean, it's really cool. And then there's federal grants, which are summer grants. There's a lot of different grants. I'm just giving you an example of getting this Government 101. So that's the Government 101 presentation. Now I've got a very easy quiz for you. Let's start with the easy question. Taxpayers want a return on their money. Obviously, this is true, but it also will start to get your head around, okay, if I give you money, what kind of businesses do I give money? I'll get to that in a minute. And who do you think is eligible for more grants? Exporting businesses or small local businesses? Well, you'll find here in a minute, export businesses, because they can grow and hire businesses, and they can span to grow revenue, so they can get a lot more grants than, say, a hair barber shop or something. And then, true or false, nearly all businesses are eligible for some grants. I'll throw that one out to the crowd, actually. Any volunteers? True, yeah. Nearly all businesses get like a summer student grant, and I'm going to show you something here in a minute. But the wisdom that you need to get in this talk is, where do you stop? Where do you get off the train? It's like, I get a training grant, I get a summer student grant. Maybe that's the station you get off with, and you focus on sales. And you call the lean guy, and he gets all your buckets fixed so you can sell more, But there's some wisdom that you're going to have to get in that. So now let's go on to finding grants. On your table here, I printed off for you, there's 5 businesses that are open right now. Tech Nation, that's a summer student grant. I'm going to show you that in a minute. These are all open right now. And if you're a service provider, you work in an MLA's office or MP's office, these are information you can get out to small businesses, or if you're a small business, you should know about it. So the question becomes, where is this stuff? Now, if you have a look at this slide, there's Tier A organizations and there's Tier B. If you are in any of these Tier A organizations, you already know this. There are a lot of grants: agriculture, reducing emissions. Tier B, you get into affordable housing, municipalities, employment. And I should give a shout out to Bread and Center at the back. They're there. Hi. They have, they're grant agents. They're a delivery agent, actually. Remember that slide where I had the bureaucrats? and they have programs to help people get back to work, and they give employers wage subsidy for 12 weeks. And they're sitting right here. I mean, you're a small business owner, they're sitting right here. Come here, I'll help you out. I could say, I mean, take one of these people back to the room and fill out the form for them. You know, they're looking for good businesses. And it's pretty cool. So this is where the cash is going. Now, this is where we're gonna go 102 class, okay? But all federal grants now, and I say all because it used to be over like 25,000, are online. So the open grant database is sitting there. So I did an analysis because I was coming to top to see who's winning grants in Sturgeon, who's winning, you know, grants in this area. So I pulled the report, ran the data. Last year, there's about $12 to $14 million of Canada Summer Student Grants that came into from like Parkland to Sturgeon. $500,000 of that went to SMEs, like, because you can look at it, right? It's like limited, incorporated. So just last year alone, you've got your neighbors are winning grants. You can do it too. You know, you can do it too. Now, in terms of finding grants, where do you get this stuff? Well, there's like Egg Pal, which has a free egg grant. Canada government has some free engines. My website has a free open grant database of 1,800 grants, totally free, on my website at Alberta Business Grants. So you go to grant search, it's right there. The next thing I want to talk to you about in finding grants is most grants are in the future. And this is a very important point. You can't go backwards in grants, they're in the future. So it becomes critically important to know when the things are opening up. So my newsletter, which is free, every Monday morning I publish a list of upcoming grant deadlines, which I will include new grants after today, that you can see them. You can, oh wow, this one's 6 weeks, this one's opening up, I can get an application in. So with just a little bit of work, you can find grants, they show up in your inbox absolutely free. And they're sitting here open, calling your name. It's like, it's crazy. I'm gonna give you a couple tips before we move on. Grab the low-hanging fruit. You know, you've got low-hanging fruit sitting right here for some of the employers. You got a delivery agent right here looking for innovative businesses. It's, you know, don't overcomplicate it. If you're starting out, focus on one grant at a time. I get into this in my course, but grants fund projects. You're already doing a bunch of things. Focus on a grant at a time, and you'll get better each year. Trust me, you kind of like, how you're gonna do it first year, but second year, and some of you in this room know that the same organizations can often win grants. It's because they're getting good at it, and you can get better at it too. And keep in mind, you can win those grants after every year. So act accordingly. You know, have integrity. You know, do a good job, show your results, build a trusting relationship with them. And you can have a long-term partnership, and we can go back to the mission of my company, which is win, right? We can win, we can have our businesses thrive, and it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna give you some categories, I'm gonna go through this, but these are general grants for small businesses. And you can take a picture of this if you want, take a picture of any of this stuff. There'll be a video recording of this as well. But I wanna go through this. So summer students, just a little bit more information. Most of you know about the Canada Summer Job Grant, but there's also organizations like Tech Nation, which is a delivery agent. It's the first grant on this handout I got for you. $7,000. I mean, you're a small business, you're hiring students, and it's, look at this, here's a famous word, you ready for it? Look at the second bullet on that piece of paper. Grants are offered on a first come, first served basis. Is this thing on? First come, first served basis. You don't have to be the smartest person. You don't have to be the best business. You just got to be faster than the other. I mean, I like to go to the horse races. I mean, you know, I understand first come, first serve, right? So that's something you can do this, but you got to be organized. You got to be watching, and you got to be ready. You got to be planned. Now, this is a training grant. There's an accountant in the house probably, and they've got staff coming wanting to get their certification. Well, at the back of the room, here we go. We've got the Canada Alberta Job Grant here. You can get this training grant. They cover 2/3, 10 grand a person, up to $300,000 per company. Can you imagine? It's crazy. And I personally want to give a shout out because this program, the advanced, this is a shameless plug, but the advanced grant writing course gets this grant. Students get this grant so then they can learn how to write their own grants. It's pretty cool. Energy savings. Now I want to give you a tip here. Look at the bottom of that slide where it says it's 100% full. Most entrepreneurs see that and they hammer the desk and they say, I knew it, I'm too late. And I'm here to tell you the sun will come up tomorrow. These will open up again. You know, maybe not this one, maybe it'll have a new name. But if you build a relationship, you attend their events like this. You know, hey, I saw that program, we want to upgrade our manufacturing facility. When is that thing opening up? Well, we're not sure it's going to open up. What do you mean you're not sure it's going to open up? Talk to your MLA, make sure that thing opens up. You know, you can get, and there's some home efficiency grants, which I thought, if someone just here in the crowd has a home and they're trying to upgrade it, there's a grant for you, okay? Had I known this vibe of the crowd, I would have brought the kid grants. There's grants for kids too, a lot of grants for kids. Surprisingly popular, I should have brought it, but anyway. Digital adoption programs, you can get like, there's a 24 and a 15 grand, but $2,400 is a good one for getting you some digitizing your business and stuff. And then there's some local grants. Here in Bourneville, they've got the storefront improvement grant, and that's St. Albert. There's some if I had known our friends here were in the crowd tonight, I would have changed this, but there's MCG Careers, there's employabilities, there's these grant agencies that are delivery agents that have programs that help you find staff. Now, if you're sitting there saying, well, how the heck, Dave, am I gonna find it? You get registered for my newsletter, I put them there when they open up, and they're in my grant database. And you can take a picture of that and say, you know what, I'm gonna do something about it. That's pretty cool. And so here's some things you need to know. You need to know about these organizations. Like maybe some of you today didn't know about that, right? You walked in the room, I didn't know that. And then read the grant guidelines. Like, you know, it'll say who's eligible and what's eligible. So, and then understand about competitions. Some grants open and close, so you gotta get ready. Remember, first come, first serve even. They're gonna open the window, so you gotta be ready. And then, kind of important too is a go, no, is it worth it? Right? Is it worth it for me to get into this, and how far do I get into it, and when do I stop? It's kind of fun. I mean, you think about it, right? Like it is a bit of an art, but you're gonna get this. Okay, let's move on to meeting grant agencies. I always say, once you find them, you can talk to them. You can. It's amazing. You can say, hey, am I eligible? You've got some money left this year. Are you still accepting applications? What's the deadline date? How competitive is it? Am I gonna do a bunch of work here and not get it? Get this information up front, and then you'll know how much money and how much time and effort you want to put into it. But again, think about it this way. A lot of entrepreneurs will say, I wrote a grant 7 years ago and I did a bunch of work and I didn't get it, I'll never do them again. There's a theory, I don't know what it's called, but there's a theory for that. You know, like you've got to say, well, think about this for a minute, because you can hit your go-no milestone very early in the process. Like tonight, hey, am I eligible for this training grant to hire someone? Okay, now it's worth it to move forward. So just know that. Now I want to give you a few tips on winning grant applications, and I put these up here a little bit different. A lot of the grants I talked about today for small businesses, unless you're getting into sort of like large Alberta Innovates grants where you need a full pro forma financial business plan, large application, IRAP on the sort of innovation side. Some of them have expression risk. A lot of these grants are not that difficult, right? You can work with an agency, you can fill out the summer student grant. Like, this is not rocket science, folks. It's a few hours and you'll get better at it. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not saying it's easy. You know, sometimes it's easy, but you can do it. You can do this, and I would encourage you, to go for it. It's sitting there. It'll give you a good advantage. And now I've got a couple myths. In grants, there's a lot of myths, and especially for you ecosystem partners. Oftentimes people, I get it all, right? I get like almost 8 to 10,000 people on my site a month. I get 11,000 person email. I get a lot of questions about grants, okay? And I often get, hey Dave, I'm a woman, can I get a grant? Well, I'll tell you why it's confusing. It's because a lot of grants go to women-led organizations that will fund programs. So, but it's mostly a myth, other than it was called the Women Entrepreneurship Fund, or like 2018. almost none. There might be one or two like small ones out there. So don't get distracted by myths. In my book, actually, I got a whole chapter on myths, and I got like 10 free copies here tonight if you want one. But don't get distracted by myths. Some people get like, oh, focus on sales. Here's your grants. Go get them. Ignore the rest. Get your business running and get sales. This one, I want to talk about starting a business because it's the most common question I get. And it's Small Business Week, and maybe one of you out there dreams of starting a business. Micro business is a program. I was there this morning, actually. Shout out to Deb Cox, my favorite grant in the entire province right here. They fund entrepreneurs that get laid off that want to start a business. And the government funds them, and you can get it absolutely free. And you're on EI, you can make money while you're on EI and not get clawed back. It's a great program. But there's not a lot of money at the startup level, right? No one's gonna come to you and say, hey, Bill, here's 20 grand, give it a try, Bill, go for it. The rest of us would be like, hey, I answered the quiz earlier about taxpayers wanting a return on their investment. Bill, I don't trust you, I don't think we should do that. So they'll fund organizations like this that you need to know about, and for your constituents, for your, but it's sitting right there. So I would encourage you to do that. Now, a couple of points about brick and mortar businesses. You may want to take a picture of this, but this is kind of your lane. We went downtown here today and we went for a walk. It's kind of, making the place accessible, maybe some HVAC, maybe fix the front, summer students and training grants. That's in general your lane for a brick and mortar business, and that's important for you to know as well. So that's kind of my 101 welcome to grants world. And in terms of next steps, I always say, this is kind of my book. I got some copies here if you'd like some. And I've got a course coming up in January. If you've got an employee, you're like, you know what? We'll make sure we'll work with our partners over here and get you a grant to cover some of that too, so most of it. So that's my presentation. I want to thank you very much for the talk. And if you've got any questions, I'd be more than happy to do my best to answer them. Thank you for your time.